Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk About the Presidents. Let's read about the presidents, actually. And today we're doing number 6. Number 6, John Q. Adams, John Quincy Adams, son of John Adams Jr. So this would be John Adams III, but I digress. Anyway, um, he was born on July 11th, 7 days after 7 days after the Independence Day, but 1767 was 1776. What was that? 1776. 9? Is that 9? I think it's 9. 9 years before independence. 9 years before independence, and died February 23rd, 1848, in D.C. He was born in Braintree, Quincy, Massachusetts. He was a Unitarian, similar to, who else was he? Unitarian. I think it was John Adams. John Adams. Let's see. Yeah, same as his dad, of course. Unitarian. His education was Harvard, graduated in 1787 at 20 years of age. Profession was a lawyer, no military service. His father was John Adams, the second president of the United States. Mother was Abigail Smith Adams. Wife was Louisa Catherine Johnson Adams. Married on July 26, 1797. He was 30 years when he got married. He was 30 years old. He got married in London, England. Interesting. Excuse me. His children was George Washington Adams, named after the first president, John Adams II, and Charles Francis Adams and Louisa Catherine Adams, who only lived a year, unfortunately. His political life was minister, or now ambassador, to the Netherlands for 3 years, ambassador to Prussia for 3 years, 4 years, Massachusetts state senator in 1802, United States senator for 6 years, 5 years, 5 years, ambassador to Russia for 5 years, head negotiator of Treaty of Ghent, Ghent, Gand, 1814, ambassador to Great Britain for 2 years, secretary of state for 8 years, only one term as president of the United States, 4 years, March 4th, 1825 to March 4th, 1829. Democratic Republican was his party. Reason for leaving office, he lost election to Andrew Jackson, 1828. His vice president was John Calhoun. In the election of 1824, Jackson, in the electoral vote, Andrew Jackson got 99 votes. Adams got 84 votes. William Crawford got 4 votes. Henry Clay, and we visited some of Henry Clay's family's housing in Lexington, Kentucky. Henry Clay 37. Popular vote. Jackson got 153,544. Adams got 108. 108,740. Crawford got 46,618. And Clay got 47,136. due to a lack of a majority election decided by House of Reps who voted for Adams. Oh, okay. Lack of a majority election. Lack of a majority. So it was a pretty tight race in the election. So I guess they needed more. They needed more votes, and they didn't get enough of a margin. I guess. But Adams got in. Adams' cabinet included Secretary of State Henry Clay, Secretary of the Treasury Richard Rush, Secretary of War, uh, what do they call it? Secretary of Defense now, James Barber, and Peter Porter. Attorney General was William Wirt. Secretary of the Navy was Samuel Southard. John Quincy Adams' diary started in 1779 when a 20-year-old boy and his famous father sailed from Boston to France. Adams began recording the events of his days. He continued this practice until a few weeks before his death in 1848. His entries are a treasure trove of anecdotes and observations of famous people during the era. That would be interesting to read. Did we know John Q. Adams owned a pet alligator that he kept in the White House? Wow. Excuse me. Anti-Mason Party. Founded in New York in 1827, the anti-Masons were a response to a perceived threat that some believed was posed by the secretive Freemason organization. The anti-Mason Party was formed by those who thought too many public officials filled the ranks of the Freemasons. It was the first third party. And we've got third party beliefs going on right now. A third party, but outside New York and Ohio, it failed to win any votes. The party collapsed in 1834. I think that third party is coming back in this upcoming election. We'll see. Adams was the first president to be photographed. It's interesting. John Quincy Adams liked to skinny dip in the Potomac River. His only Supreme Court appointment was Robert Trimble. State of the Union. Excuse me. Population of the United States in 1825. Excuse me. 1825 population 12,866,020. National debt in 1825 $83,788,433. Crazy. President's salary has not changed yet. Number of states in 1829, and that's by the time Q left office, John Quincy Adams, 24. 24 number of states in 1829. John Quincy Adams was the only president to later be elected to the House of Reps. 12th Amendment. Following the fiasco of the 1800 presidential election, in which the Electoral College tied, leaving the House of Representatives to decide the winner, Congress decided to change the electoral system. According to the 12th Amendment, separate ballots were cast for president and vice president beginning with the 1804 election. Anytime a candidate did not receive a majority of electoral votes, however, the House of Reps would decide the outcome, as they did in 1820. I think the needed amount of votes for president's 270. Wonder what it was back in the day. 270 electoral votes. Did we know Louisa Adams is the only foreign-born First Lady? Foreign-born is the only foreign-born. Well, actually, that's not true. Because Melania Trump was a foreign-born first lady. And of course, this book is before was published before Trump. Remember the movie Amistad? Okay, Amistad. John Quincy Adams was around. Amistad, 1839, 49 enslaved Africans aboard the ship Amistad overwhelmed their Spanish slave captors off the Cuban coast. After killing the captain and his mate, they ordered the two slave traders to sail the ship back to Africa. 2 months later, the Amistad arrived in New York Harbor. The Africans were seized and Spanish officials demanded extradition to Cuba, but American abolitionists strenuously objected. A legal team was organized to argue for the slaves' freedom, and the case began its journey through the legal system. Championing the Africans' cause was J.Q.A., believe it or not, and he was played by Anthony Hopkins in the movie, who argued their case before the U.S. Supreme Court, which soon declared them free. They returned to their homeland in January 1842. John Q. Adams wrote the lives of James Madison and James Monroe in 1850. That is John Quincy Adams. I'll come back for Andrew Jackson.